Imagination is not daydreaming. It is the creative force that molds and shapes your experience. Every invention, every relationship, every success, every turning point in a person's life begins not with effort, but with an image held in the mind. Before anything materializes in the physical world, it must first exist vividly and consistently in your inner world. That image, the vision you allow yourself to dwell on, becomes the blueprint for your future. When you imagine something with clarity and conviction, you activate a reality that begins to seek its own expression. The moment you see yourself as healthy, wealthy, loved, or powerful in your imagination, you've planted a seed. And like all seeds, that image, when nurtured with repetition and belief, will grow, unseen at first, but inevitable. The outside world doesn't lead, it follows. It reacts. It obeys the law written by what you've imagined over and over again. The mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. That's your gift and your power. When you visualize something consistently, your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and even your opportunities begin to shape around that vision. You start attracting and selecting what aligns with that image. It's not magic, it's law. Most people wait for evidence before they believe. But imagination flips the script. Believe first, see second. You were never meant to be a passive observer of life, hoping to win the lottery. You are the lottery. And the winning numbers are written in the images you entertain every day. Feeling is the silent architect of your reality. It speaks louder than words, louder than wishes, and even louder than thoughts. While thoughts create the mold, feeling gives it life. Without emotion, a thought is just an idea passing through the mind. But when you feel something as if it were already true, you begin to impress it upon the deeper layers of your being, where real creation begins. But you emotionally accept, you invite into your experience. It doesn't matter what you say you want. What matters is what you emotionally consent to. If you say, I am successful, but feel like a failure, it is the feeling that gets honored, not the statement. The universe doesn't respond to lip service. It responds to the vibration you're carrying, the emotion that permeates your inner conversations and reactions. When you allow yourself to feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude, or the confidence of having already received what you desire, you collapse the gap between imagining and experiencing. That emotional state becomes your signal, your energetic signature, and it begins to attract the circumstances, people, and resources that reflect it back to you. You don't need to beg for what you want. You need to feel it as though it's already yours. This is not pretending. This is lying. It's not about faking it. It's about claiming it internally. The moment you shift from hoping to knowing, from wanting to feeling fulfilled, you ignite the process of manifestation. Feeling is the fuel that drives the invisible into the visible. It is the proof you give to yourself before the world gives it to you. To assume the identity of your desire means to become, in consciousness, the person who already has what you seek. It is not about wanting, wishing, or waiting. It's about being. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And the quickest path to becoming what you desire is to internally identify as if you already are it. When you assume a new identity, everything begins to shift. Your thoughts change. Your choices change. Even the way you walk, talk, and respond to life changes. You don't wait for results to validate the shift. You let the shift create the results. If you desire wealth, you begin to think, feel, and act like someone who is already wealthy, not out of arrogance or performance, but out of inner conviction. If you desire love, you carry the energy of someone who knows they are already loved, already chosen, already enough. And this assumption is not about pretending or putting on a mask. It's about a deep inner knowing that says, this is who I am now. And when you make that decision and live from that state, reality starts to mirror it. People treat you differently. Opportunities show up. Even your environment starts to respond in ways that align with your new self-picture. The old identity, full of doubts, fears, and limitations, begins to fade, not because you fought it, but because you replaced it. You no longer engage with the world as someone who hopes to win. You show up as someone who has already claimed victory. The outer world has no choice but to follow the script written by your internal identity. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you move from desiring a better life to embodying it. You are not acting as if, you are acting from it. The world you experience is not separate from you. It is a reflection of your inner state. Everything you consistently think, feel, and believe forms a mental atmosphere that quietly shapes your external life. Your inner world is not just a private space for imagination or emotion. It is the control center from which your reality is broadcast. What you hold within will inevitably show up without. If your inner world is filled with self-doubt, fear, or lack, then life will reflect circumstances that match that frequency. If your inner world is filled with confidence, love, and expectancy, then the world will organize itself to meet that expectation. Life does not randomly happen to you. It flows through you, echoing what you've accepted as true inside. Many people try to change the world around them while ignoring the beliefs and assumptions they carry within. But no external shift can last unless there's been a corresponding inner shift. The change must begin in consciousness. When you revise your inner dialogue, your assumptions about what is possible, and your emotional patterns, the world begins to mirror that new narrative back to you. People respond differently, doors open that were previously closed, and what once seemed out of reach begins to move toward you. This is not philosophy, it is law. You are not the victim of circumstance, you are the author of it. The circumstances you experience are the printout of the mental program you've been running, whether consciously or unconsciously. When you change the code, the output changes. When you tend to the inner garden, the outer landscape blooms in response. Your inner world is the projector, and life is simply the screen. Persistence means holding to the vision of your desire even when there is no physical evidence it's on its way. It means remaining loyal to the unseen reality you claimed within, despite what the outer world appears to show. Proof may be delayed, but it is never denied to the one who refuses to give up. Most people quit just before the shift occurs, not because it wasn't working, but because they measured progress by what they could see instead of by what they continued to feel and assume. The world often tests your commitment to a new belief. There may be moments when nothing changes, when things even seem to get worse, when logic tells you to let go and move on. But those moments are illusions meant to ask you one question. Do you really believe this is yours? Persistence answers yes, not once, but every day. It's not about forcing the outcome. It's about faithfully returning to the state of the wish fulfilled, regardless of what the senses report. Every great transformation demands persistence. Results often arrive quietly and suddenly, as if they were always there, but they only come to those who do not need immediate validation to keep going. When you persist, you teach your subconscious mind that this new reality is non-negotiable. You impress it deeper and deeper until it becomes your natural state, and once it takes root there, it must express itself outwardly. The temptation to doubt, to settle, or to change course is strong, especially when others can't see what you see. But you are not building your life on evidence. You are building it on vision. You are not reacting to the world. You are commanding it with the constancy of your inner state. And it is that constancy, that quiet determination, that ultimately bends the outer world into the shape of your persistence. Consciousness is the source of all that exists in your life. Everything begins there. Every relationship, every opportunity, every setback, and every success is born out of the state of consciousness you dwell in. It is not your actions alone that create outcomes, but the awareness behind them. What you consistently believe to be true, what you accept without resistance, what you feel deeply and repeatedly, these become the structures of your reality. There is no power outside of consciousness that determines your fate. Not chance, not destiny, not even other people. They are all playing roles assigned to them by the state you occupy within. If you live in the state of lack, life will echo that lack back to you. If you live in the state of abundance, it will arrange itself to match that. You do not get what you want just by wishing for it. You get what you are conscious of being. This understanding removes the illusion of powerlessness. It places the responsibility and the authority exactly where it has always been, with you. You don't need to manipulate conditions or wait for permission. You need only to move into a higher state of being. When you shift your consciousness to align with the reality you desire, that reality must begin to unfold. Because consciousness is always expressing itself in form. To create a new life, you must first create a new awareness. That means accepting, embodying, and sustaining a new inner story. A story where you already are the person who has, does, or becomes what you seek. The outer world is a servant to that inner state. When you live from the end, think from the outcome, and feel from the place of fulfillment, you are not hoping for change, you are authoring it. Everything you see around you is the shadow cast by your dominant state of consciousness. Change the source, and the shadow must change too. The subconscious mind does not respond to logic, argument, or force. It responds to repetition, consistent, emotional, and vivid impressions. What you feed it over and over again, it accepts as truth, regardless of whether it's fact or fiction. This is how beliefs are formed, and this is how they can be reshaped. You cannot simply affirm something once and expect deep change. The subconscious must be saturated, convinced gradually through steady exposure. Every time you visualize your desired outcome, speak it aloud, feel it as already done, or mentally rehearse it as real, you are impressing the subconscious. Over time, this repeated exposure carves a new mental groove, replacing the old story you've been living from. At first, it might feel false or unnatural, but with each repetition, the new idea gains familiarity and power. What once felt foreign becomes automatic. What once felt like pretending becomes second nature. Repetition is not just about frequency, it's about feeling. Dry, robotic statements don't create transformation. But when your affirmations are charged with emotion, with belief, and with a sense of certainty, they penetrate deeper. The subconscious doesn't care if something is currently visible or measurable. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it as real, and then begins to organize your outer life to reflect that inner acceptance. Daily practice is essential, whether it's through affirmations, mental imagery, scripting, or simply carrying the feeling of the wish fulfilled throughout your day. Every repetition counts. Each moment you return to your vision, each time you inhabit the state of your desire, you are reinforcing a new identity. You are teaching your subconscious a new pattern, and once it's learned, it will lead you effortlessly toward that reality. This is how change happens. Not by force, but by steady, faithful repetition that transforms who you believe yourself to be. Doubt is the silent thief that steals what you've already claimed in consciousness. It creates a gap between you and your desire, not because the desire is unreachable, but because your belief in it becomes unstable. When you imagine something with clarity and feel it deeply, you set the process of manifestation in motion. But the moment you begin to question it, entertain fear, or look around for signs and don't see them, you disrupt the flow. Doubt acts like interference on a frequency. You can no longer receive what's already being broadcast to you. Every time you ask, "But what if it doesn't happen?" or look to your current circumstances for proof, you're planting contradictory instructions into your subconscious. You affirm with one thought and cancel it with the next. The subconscious cannot move confidently in two directions. It either carries out the command of belief or withdraws in confusion from the command of doubt. The truth is, the delay between imagination and realization often tempts the mind to waver. But that's precisely when belief matters most. Confidence is not about seeing evidence. It's about holding your ground when there is none. The feeling of certainty is the glue that binds you to your vision. Doubt dissolves that glue. It pushes your desire further away by signaling to the subconscious that you're not ready to receive it. You can't be in alignment with your vision and also question whether it will come to pass. You don't need to know how it will happen. You don't even need to understand when or through whom. Your only responsibility is to remain rooted in the assumption that it already belongs to you. When you feel the outcome is secure and natural, the world begins to reflect that internal calm. But when you second guess, you pull the roots out before the tree has a chance to grow. Certainty is a choice, and like all choices, it must be made daily, sometimes moment by moment. The prize is never withheld, it is only delayed by your own wavering. When you eliminate doubt, you open the door for what's already yours to step in. To act from the end means to live as though the outcome you desire is already a fact. It is a shift from striving to being, from chasing to embodying. Most people approach their goals by acting toward them. They see the result as distant and themselves as separate from it. They hope, they wait, they prepare, all while reinforcing the idea that they are not yet there. But creation doesn't work through distance. It works through alignment. When you act from the end, you bring the future into the present. You assume the posture, the mindset, the energy, and the identity of someone who already has what they once sought. But this is not about pretending or deluding yourself. It's about stepping into the state where your desire has already unfolded and responding to life from that place. You begin to make choices, form habits, and carry yourself in ways that match your vision fulfilled. You become the cause, not the effect. The world begins to shift around your inner conviction, not the other way around. When you walk into a room with the energy of someone who knows they are already successful, already loved, already secure, the world mirrors that back to you through people, opportunities, and unexpected alignments. Acting from the end is a declaration of faith. It's a refusal to be ruled by appearances and a decision to be guided by inner knowing. You no longer ask, will it happen? Because you know that it already has, in consciousness. And consciousness is the only creative power. You stop waiting for permission or for proof. Instead, you move through life with the calm authority of someone who understands that their reality is unfolding from within. The power of acting from the end lies in its subtle consistency. You don't need to announce it or force it. You simply carry the energy of completion. You dress, speak, make plans, and relate to others as if the thing you desired is now part of your daily reality. And over time, the outer world reshapes itself to match that assumption, not because you pushed it into place, but because you allowed yourself to live from the end. You are not a passive recipient of life's events. You are the originator, the cause from which all experiences flow. Too often people see themselves as victims of circumstance, believing that outside forces, luck, other people, or random chance dictate what happens to them, but this perspective denies the true power that lies within. The reality you live is a direct reflection of the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings you hold most deeply. If you do not wait for your lucky day, you are the lucky day. You don't wait for opportunities to come to you. You are the source from which they arrive. This means that every event, every interaction, every success or failure begins with you. Your state of mind, your self-concept, and your inner world set the tone for what manifests outside. When you take full responsibility for this creative role, you reclaim your power and stop giving it away to external circumstances. You realize that no matter what is happening around you, you have the ability to shift the direction by changing what you hold in your consciousness. The moment you internalize that you are the cause, not the effect, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop looking for validation, approval, or permission from others because you understand that your reality originates from within. This awareness gives you freedom and control. It means that your future is not determined by past mistakes or current limitations, but by what you choose to think, feel, and imagine right now. You become the author of your own story, the architect of your own destiny. Instead of waiting for a windfall or a stroke of luck, you become the source of your own fortune. The power to create, transform, and manifest rests entirely in your hands because it is your consciousness that shapes the world you experience. When you live as the cause, not the effect, you step into a place of unlimited possibility and take full ownership of the life you are building. You are not waiting for luck to find you, nor are you hoping for some outside force to change your life. The truth is far more empowering. You are the lottery ticket, the winner already chosen. Everything you desire is seated within your imagination, nurtured by your feelings and brought to life through the identity you assume. When you take full responsibility as the cause of your reality, persist without proof, and act from the end, you unlock a power beyond circumstance or chance. Doubt may try to cloud your vision, but your unwavering belief will break through and manifest your prize. So claim it now. Stand in the knowing that your dreams are not distant wishes, but your current reality waiting to unfold. The winning numbers are written in your consciousness. All that's left is for you to live as if they've already been called. Your life is yours to create, because you are your lottery ticket.